relatable, but out there, and that grabs attention and may elicit a few snaps from the audience, or at least pique their interest right off the bat. And I fear I may have tried a little too hard in this last endeavor. I also discovered that in order to really get the crowd into you, not that that's the point, I think, but anyway, so to get the ball rolling, you've got to do three things. First, pauses. Really long pauses. Or they're inverse. Sometimes you've got to start saying something, and at the beginning of the sentence, nobody knows what you'll be building to, but listen to that guy. He's talking so fast, and he's getting louder and louder, and he's taking deep breaths. It must be important what he's talking about. And right at the apex, when you any higher, and you'll all be reminded how recently I escaped the clutches of puberty. The drop, the silence, the three short sentences after it. Pause. The second way to get snaps and claps and lots of YouTube views is, well, I'll get to that in a second, but another thing that's helpful is structuring your poem in a numbered list. And self-awareness, people like that. And if you're cute, but look like you don't know it, or if you're not, then act like you don't care. So the second thing to keep in mind is subject matter. Never say the word thing. In slam poetry, to build a rapport with your audience, you need to pinpoint with an empathetic laser what happened to you and how it made you feel. It's here that I struggle occasionally out of a lack of material to work with, and I occasionally wish for bad things to have happened to me. Before I go on, note the past tense. It's a lot easier to wish for these sorts of things when they would have already happened in hindsight. Pause. I wish that I'd been bullied or picked on excessively, or that I was in some way predestined to be a marginalized member of society. I'll stay away from the obvious ways this manifests itself in our world because I'm trying to be unconventional and cool. I wish I grew up with 3 arms and no nose, because maybe then I'd have some real material to work with. And I could say things like, I have all these hands, but I still can't hold off the judging glares of those around me. Yeah. Or I could write a poem on how unfortunate it was for Voldemort to come into the public sphere, because the nickname will stick with me forever. Maybe if I had 3 arms and no nose, I wouldn't be a tall, looking like white guy whose biggest problem growing up in Berkeley was that his mom was so amazing that he felt he'd never be able to live up to her standards. Attentive listeners will have just noticed that I snuck in an actual problem I have by saying that I didn't really have any. It's funny how sometimes to open up how you truly feel to others, you have to pretend to shut down and hope that they see through you. Pause. Which brings me to the third and final thing one ought to incorporate in slam poetry. Language. Nice language. Images, like her skin was almond milk and her eyes were a sunset setting fire to itself. Or once she brushed my hand onto hers before we kissed on accident, and I turned into a puddle. Or her stardust freckles were all the proof I needed to know that she was an angel, except for that one sort of played out by now, so let's just say it looked like her face had been too close to a septic tank exploding and had obviated the spray. Now we're getting romantic. But you don't have to talk about girls or boys or boy girls or girl boys. I'm not quite up to date on the politically correct lingo, or for that matter, quite sure why slam poetry and issues of gender, race, and identity overall seem to go hand in hand so often. But you don't need to describe a person you want to feel or be with to show your audience that not only are your feelings relevant, they are also deep, like a really deep well. For instance, Pablo Neruda, side note, including famous poets because you sound cultured won't get you bonus points, described in so few words a slice of lemon. And I fell in love with his spiraling metaphors which detailed something as common as yellow pieces of sour fruit. And the fourth thing you need, sometimes in a quiet, unassuming voice like this, is the twist. It's that last part of the poem where you introduce something unexpected into your narrative and show your listeners that you have enough poetic authority to hold back information from them, and that you know to give it to them at the right moment. To more or less lie, really, because I haven't figured this part out yet, but people seem to really like being lied to. My twist isn't that great. It's that I have 4 things to talk about and not 3, like I said before. But that's okay, because I'll try to make up for it by leaving you, as all poems must, in some way or another, with a thought that will have weight. Not the kind that you lift for exercise, but the kind that makes a home on your chest for a couple minutes, uninvited. It's one you want to cradle and hold forever, and also one you couldn't bear to live with. Isn't that sad, how sometimes the things that weigh you down the most and that press on your soul like an influenza blanket are the things you know you'll eventually miss? Isn't it funny that to express myself in a slam poem, I had to do it like this. Thank you.
I think I'm gonna let that speak for itself. And give another round of applause. So. Yeah. We have 9 AM rock band up next. And Hack and Hurl up after that.
Hack and Hurl? Hack and Hurl.
That was a 9-8 rock band.